because on this particular day, there were 9 individuals killed. And I was able to actually examine all 9. They were brought to me in the UP College of Medicine morgue. And just to summarize, the cases were examined from March 9 to March 13.
Ito lang po, Dr. Fortune, sa mag-asawang Evanghelista po, tsaka kay Manny Asunsyon. Ano po yung findings ninyo?
I have already released the report, and if the committee or the Quadcom is interested or does not have a copy yet, I can provide. Because the details are here, I will have to, like for instance, starting with Ana Marie Evanghelista, 2107. In the autopsy report I issued, she sustained several gunshot wounds to the trunk, particularly in the chest area, 2, 1 in the abdomen, and there were internal injuries. This is the most severe. She also sustained through and through or perforating gunshot wounds of the upper extremity in the right hand and the left forearm. And also, she had what I called projectile injuries, or small fragments. Foreign bodies entered the lower extremities as well, and some other parts of the body. Now, this is best correlated with the scene. What are these fragments? Are they from concrete, bullets? I wouldn't know because I had no access to scene findings, just the body.
So, dun po ba sa autopsy, Dr. Fortune, nakikita natin yung, siyempre alam natin, yung mga sinasabi niyo po na mga details, like for example, kay Cha at saka kay doon sa asawa niya po ay gunshot wounds. Ito, di ba? Mga gunshot wounds po yung mga nakita natin. So, na-determine dyan kung ano yung trajectory noong baril na, or yung bala na tumama doon sa isang body. So, malalaman natin kung malapit, binaril, or malayong binaril. Tama po ba?
When we say trajectory, this is the direction of the bullet as it entered the body.
Opo.
And this is actually descriptive.
Okay.
You're referring to a body standing upright, facing forward, palms forward. So it does not actually tell you how the individual was shot. Just by looking at the body, you have to address everything, like the scene findings, bullets, casings, blood spatter, totality of evidence. When you're asking about how far or how near the shot was fired, this is what we refer to as the muzzle to skin distance. And this is best assessed by looking at the entrance wound, because sometimes there are marks there, like smudging or soot, stippling, and so on. But again, in these cases, I had a lot of limitations. Like, for instance, they were all embalmed. And the embalmer would introduce changes, like the injuries, like the entrance wound would be sutured. And that would damage the features there. Another limitation is, these cases, I did not have access to all their clothes. Clothing should be part of the autopsy. And only some of them had their clothes on them. I think the spouses, Evanghelista, Ana, and Mr. Evanghelista, had their clothes but the others I did not. So what I'm saying is you have to make use of a lot of information. But if the bodies are not properly documented, preserved, and so on, that poses a lot of limitations.
Okay, so ano po yung pinaka findings nyo po doon sa mag-asawa? So yung pagbaril po ay too close, yung pagbaril doon sa nakandak ninyong autopsy?
Again, the details would be in the actual autopsy reports, but I don't think in any of the cases I was able to commit to range of fire or how far or how near the shots
Okay.
were fired at them. The most I could say were how many shots were fired, where, what parts of the body were injured, what could have been fatal.
So you have that in your report? Nandiyan po yung sa report ninyo?
Yes, ma'am. The details
So,
are in the reports.
Ma'am, Mr. Chair, may we ask Dr. Fortun to submit the autopsy report po? Can you submit?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay.
I have PDF copies with me, electronic files, but if you want the actual signed copies, they're in my office.
Based po doon sa trajectory or yung direction, sabi niyo po nung bullet, sa dami po ba ng mga wounds, masasabi ba natin na intentional yung pagbaril o hindi?
Actually, all of the individuals I examined, all 9 of them, sustained multiple gunshot wounds, particularly in the chest, in the trunk.
O intentional yung pagpatay?
If you would consider the multiplicity, the number of shots, then that implies intent.
Okay.
And then I also identified injuries in the upper extremities, which in forensic pathology we would call defense-type injuries, because that means the individual instinctively tried to defend
Cover.
himself or herself.
Okay. Pag intentional po yung pagbaril, pagpatay, so that means, ito po ba ay to the head, to the heart, or some part po ng body?
I understand in my summary all the 9 individuals sustained gunshot wounds to the chest and abdomen, the trunk, where
So,
internal organ are.
Okay. Sa autopsy po ng PNP, no, sa mag-asawang Evanghelista, nakasaad po yung cause of death. So yung cause of death po, sabing ganon, ay, and I quote, gunshot wounds to the body. At walang nakasaad ng paano siya pinatay or manner of death. So tama po ba ito or sufficient na ito na explanation sa pagkamatay ng mag-asawa?
In the death certificates issued by the medical legal officer in Batangas, the statement is general. Like for instance, for Ariel Evanghelista, it's perforating the heart and lungs, gunshot wounds to the body, firearm discharge. Actually, the statement is wrong. But anyway, this implies that he was shot in the body, which injured the heart and lungs. And, if you do an autopsy, you can better explain what injuries were sustained. Like, same case, Mr. Evanghelista, in my findings, he sustained, it confirms, yes, that he was shot in the heart, but also the aorta, the lungs, the diaphragm, the liver, there were massive hemorrhages. And I identified also the fractures. I was able to recover the bullet in the chest.